Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, and welcome once again to Walking the Path with Dawn and Laura, where we all walk together and support each other on the path to becoming more spiritually aware. We're very excited to be back on the air after a break after the Labor Day holiday. Hope everyone had a good holiday. And once again, we want to remind our listeners that you can find out more about the show and sign up for our newsletter at dawnandlaura.com. It's DAWN and LAURA.com. And we also will post links and any pertinent information there following each show. And if you'd like to speak with today's guest during the second half of the show, the number to call is 347-677-0909. Again, it's 347-677-0909. And also our chat room is open, as always, to those of you who are registered members of Blog Talk Radio. And membership is free and easy to do. You simply visit blogtalkradio.com and click on register at the right-hand portion of your screen. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Oh, great. Just some computer problems, but that's okay.
Well, we are under Mercury retrograde, so that's kind of goes with the territory, I guess. I know our switchboard is acting kind of strange this morning, but hopefully that'll rectify itself. Today we have another very special guest joining us, one of my personal tarot heroes and a very gifted artist. Lisa Hunt is the creator of the Celtic Dragon Tarot, the Shapeshifter Tarot, the Animals Divine Tarot, Fantastical Creatures Tarot, and her most recently released work, which we'll be talking about today, the Fairy Tale Tarot. Lisa has created a gorgeous hardcover meditation guidebook called Celestial Goddesses and maintains a website featuring all of her work at www.lisahuntarts.com. And without further ado, welcome to the show, Lisa.
Well, good morning. That was so nice. I'm honored to be here. And I'm a fan of your show, and I'll tell you why. I think you guys have a symbiotic energy that just translates so well to blog radio, and I can tell you put your guests at ease. I mean, you've already put me at ease with that fabulous introduction, but I'm really looking forward to this hour, and I'm really excited, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you here with us today. And, I have to tell you, as I prepared for this show during a meditation, a couple of days ago, I was just kind of focusing on how the show was going to transpire, and I received a vision of a small child of about 3 or 4 years old, and he was obviously younger than reading age, and he was sitting next to his mom and kind of holding a picture book in his lap, and he told her he was going to read her a story, and proceeded to tell her this long, intricate tale using only the pictures to guide him. And, this immediately had me thinking about the fairy tale tarot images. And,
oh, that's cool.
I just thought it was so neat. I had to share that because as readers, each time we sit down to the cards, we're weaving a story from the thread of images that we get. And I think that this deck particularly really speaks to that inner child in all of us where we learned a lot of lessons through the fairy tales that we were exposed to as children. And, where did your inspiration to create this deck from? Because it is absolutely beautiful.
Wow. I mean, this show is perfect because the whole premise of walking the path and the journey, that resonates with me because I've traveled this artistic journey from a very young age. I don't remember not drawing, and my parents used to kind of make fun of me, oh, there she goes again, and, keep any pertinent paperwork out of her way because she might doodle on it. So I was always, and fairy tales were an integral part of that. A lot of my early drawings, interestingly, had celestial motifs like little crescent moons and stars. And I know children do that, but I felt a real affinity for those kinds of celestial bodies that were hard for me to see. It was more something that came from deep within. And I would integrate, castles and princesses and all kinds of these ethereal forests into my artwork at a young age. And it just grew from there. I just followed my passions, and I think, I don't think talent is necessarily something you're born with in the context of instantly knowing how to do something well. It's about desire. and I've always just needed to draw. It's an innate part of my being. And as I grew, as I matured, by the time I got to high school, my work took on a very surreal feel. And I started, it almost had like a three of wands feel, if you've seen that image from my deck. A lot of swirling, a lot of energy, a lot of inner exploration. I wasn't even sure where this derived from, but it was this, it was almost like a physiological need to direct those energies onto canvas. And I just never wavered from that, and I knew the prospect of earning a living in art was confounding, but I just had to do it, and here I am, 42 years old, and I'm still doing it, and I can't imagine doing anything else. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
Well, you're very, very talented, and I just absolutely love this deck. I love the color. I love the intricate detail that you put into all these cards, and I know this is a very long journey for you. What would be your all-time favorite fairy tale, and why would that be?
I know a lot of people are asking me that question, and I thought I knew what it was before I started the project, but I've unearthed so many gems. I mean, there are just so many beautiful stories in the world, literary compendium, and I love stories that exemplify animal energies, such as, when a human becomes enchanted into a beast or a creature or an animal, because I think that sort of bridges the different layers of consciousness, which is something I'm very interested in. I've always integrated Jungian psychology into my work from a pretty early age on, and I went on to study it. So I tend to like those stories that investigate those primordial spirits that reside in our psyche and translate to these fantastical events, such as my favorite right now, or has been, and I continue to say so, is the Wild Swans, because it's so multi-layered and it so captures the essence of spreading one's wings and being innovative in that protagonist, the sister, so courageous. And all these things embody, what's good in humanity and how we are able to overcome the biggest obstacles as long as we follow our hearts and stay focused on our goals. So those stories, I guess that one is one of my favorites, and I love Little Red Riding Hood, and your typical well-known stories, of course, harken back to my own childhood, so anything that I remember from 4 years old on is still going to sing to me. But there are lots of ones I just discovered in the last 5 years that are amazing, too. So it's a great journey, and a journey of discovery for me artistically and scholastically and for me as a human being. And I hope my children pick up on that as they get older.
You work mostly with watercolors. Have you ever considered trying another medium, or do you work with other mediums?
I actually was trained in oils. I started with the little watercolor palette as a child, and then in high school I got into acrylics, and in college I got into oils. But they never really, I just didn't have a physical connection the way I do with watercolor, which is very flowing, and you have to be somewhat deliberate, but there are a lot of aspects of watercolor that enable one to be spontaneous, and for that reason I've done all my decks in watercolor. Though I'm getting more experimental, more spontaneous as I grow more confident with the medium and my technical prowess. But there are artists I just adore and whose medium was just so different than my own, like Susan Blais used oil pastels. And I love this artist, Margot McLean, who illustrated Dream Animals by James Hillman. That's like my favorite all-time book, and it's collage and montage, and it's nothing like my style. So I don't know where my artistic sensibilities are going to carry me, but I'm very open, and I certainly love challenge, so I'm going to just let it happen.